Chatting with Wisdom is where we connect with women to inspire women to on different topics based on the topic of the person who is actually joining us. So today we have, and actually I just have to go back and find my notes. So today we have Emily, and I do know that it's Emily, but I wanted to go back and find my note. It just disappeared. So Emily is a 26-year-old from Haileybury. She's currently attending a Northern college where Emily is studying business general, and she's also an alumni of the college. And having graduated from the Law Clerk Program in 2014, currently living at home with her parents and her sister Amy, who's just graduated from Brock University. So in her spare time, she loves to write various fan fiction about Marvel's Daredevil, her favorite show. When not writing, can be found taking walks around town and watching various TV series, and has a pet Betta Fish named Dex. So welcome, Emily. So what I want to do is I want to start off with sharing. So tell me a little bit about, so your topic is your journey. So tell me a little bit more about like what your journey is.
I wish I had the thing that I wrote.
Okay. So okay, let's start off with, okay, so your journey started, so you had talked about, so in the information that you had shared, so how about I do it that way? So with the information that you shared, talk a little bit about bullying. So do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it was in high school, it started in elementary school. You know, kids would just pick on me, and they would, because I was a shyer student and not as outgoing as everybody else, and I would, and maybe it wasn't a target for them to just pick on. It didn't really get bad until grade 5, grade 3, around grade 3, or grade 3 to 8. Like where the older, like when I was in grade 5, the older kids from grade 8 that were in grade 8 would pick on me and then kids in my class, and then after I graduated public school, and I just went on to high school where the kids would just continue to pick on me.
So it continued all the way into high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's really tough. Like, that's not easy for anybody to do. And so I really honestly, truly appreciate you volunteering to come on and share a little bit about your experience. And so as much as you prepared for this and that you had decided to put in the to book a spot, it's still got to be like really frustrating, or really, I don't even know what word it is, but fearful, right? So I don't know how easy this would be, because you're still young, right? So you're still young. This is when, and sharing those experiences is really tough for even those of us who are older. So like, I know that I've shared experiences as I've kind of come along and that kind of thing. But every time that I share a new experience that I haven't shared publicly with someone is challenging. And so I want to first acknowledge how incredibly honored I am that you've asked to come on today. So I just wanted to start with that. So because like I said, I know that it is very much nerve-wracking. So you're doing great. And so thanks very much for sharing. So, and at any point, if there's something else that you wanted to be able to share that I didn't ask you about, like, feel free to do that as well. So, Okay, so so normally one of the things that I also do is that we check in with people that are watching, and so if they want to ask questions, that kind of thing. But I think that might be a little bit more challenging in terms of being able to answer questions on the spot if somebody is sharing some information. Or do you think that you're okay with that? Because if not, we can just answer questions. Okay, then.
The best I can.
Okay, so if anybody does have anything that they want to be able to ask, and so same as afterwards, like there's you guys have access to being able to do that as well. So okay, so one of the things that you talked about in the information that you shared with me is when your journey began. So you talked about when, so you've talked about your experiences growing up and how challenging that those things were. But when you were actually talking about, you talked about your journey. So what did you mean by that? So you talked about when your journey began.
Just everything, like, as I found out stuff about myself and as I started figuring things out, or maybe questioning things like that I thought like about myself that I thought I already had figured out, but I didn't. Just kind of going along.
Just kind of going along. Okay, so now you talked about somebody who actually had inspired you to explore more about your journey. So do you want to talk about that person?
Yeah,
Or that character?
my friend Danica, I met her in I was doing some academic upgrading because I didn't have the right math to get into my program, and she was in there getting her grade 12, and we met, and I kind of talked to her about some stuff. Like I had mentioned that I was questioning, like I wasn't sure, I wanted to understand, and she indirectly kind of gave me the, like, it's okay, if you could, like, she gave me guidance to along the way so I could communicate about it with friends or family, and she just kind of helped me understand what was going on at that time.
So what was going on at that time? So what were you trying to explore? What were you trying to understand?
I was trying to understand my sexual orientation. I wasn't sure, like, I knew that, I knew that I wasn't straight like everybody else, but I just she helped me navigate that, like, that, like, it's always like tell me that, like, it's okay not to be sure, to just figure out, like, just to educate me more on everything, so I could figure it out.
And that's great that you actually had somebody that understood you, because I think that's one of the things that's the scariest, is having somebody that doesn't understand, right? Yeah. So especially when you're not understanding, you don't really know what it is that you're doing or how you're doing it, and what's happening. And so you grew up thinking, okay, so I'm a girl and I'm supposed to like boys, and I'm supposed to be a girl, and those kinds of things. And so being able to try and explore that part of, okay, well, this isn't the norm, because that's one of the things that you said, like the norm, right? So, and one of the things that I have talked about often is like, so really what's normal, right? So what's normal for me isn't normal for you, and what's normal for you isn't normal for Joe, right? So like there's just all these different things that are not necessarily normal. They become our normal. And when you're growing up and you're living in a form of like, this is normal, and then it's like, okay, well, I need to kind of break from this normal, because this normal isn't me. is so it's great to be able to have somebody that you that you were able to physically talk about.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you actually shared was you talked about your where you actually started understanding for yourself that things were a little bit different was through The Walking Dead. So
yeah.
so tell me, I love The Walking Dead. So tell me a little bit more about like how The Walking Dead actually helped you discover who you were.
Well, this character named Jesus, he he was talking he was talking to his to one of his fellow survivors or whatever, and he was like he just kind of like just the way he like just kind of came out and like told her that he was gay or whatever. It just made me think like, you know, he just kind of hid in like he just kind of like just told her, and she was like, you know, it's okay, you know what I mean? Like she, you know, it inspired me to say, well, you know, if he it inspired me to kind of say, you know, like it's like that I can do it, like you being believe that I can do it, and that it's not scary, like it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be scary, but yet it still is,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
so like even coming on and having this conversation, it doesn't have to be scary, but it still
no,
is,
yeah,
right? So, so, and that's one of the things that is challenging is that we have that fear of like, okay, what? So even when we're still okay with who we are, and especially when we're still kind of not sure, but like when we know where we're at and what it is that we want to be able to do, and being able to actually vocalize it and making it and going from our head to our mouth
yeah.
is 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 not easy to do, right? So it's like
Especially
it's all good in here in the head,
yeah,
but when we actually try and have to bring it out, and
yeah,
so our nerves kind of take over, and
yeah,
um, being able to have people like Jesus from The Walking Dead and from your friend who was able to be there to be able to share with you
yeah,
her experiences and
yeah,
helping you understand, especially when it's still really closed. Like as much as things are opening up. So like when
yeah,
we live in a very small community, and so because Emily's from our community, and so we live in a very small community, but like down in
yeah,
Toronto or down in one of the bigger centers, it's more of a normal thing for people to be able to see
yeah,
people that are in same-sex relationships and like all that kind of things that
yeah.
is not the same as here, right? So it's
No,
opening and it's getting
no,
better, but it's still not the same, right?
no.
So, um, so can you tell me a little bit more about what you've discovered about yourself? So what have you, and kind of, that's probably a very wide question. So now you talked about like being, so you talked about Jesus being gay, like, so tell me a little bit more about like what is your orientation? So does that help a little bit? Was that a little bit more clear in a
Yeah.
question?
So and there were some times that I like before I like before like like when I first I don't know how to word this, like when I first came out, like when I first said okay, you know,
Yeah.
I thought it was like I said I was bi, like I liked men and I liked women, and then like last summer or whatever, I questioned it, like I thought, well, maybe this isn't me, maybe I only like women, you know, but and so I tried it out for a while, and I just said no. I said, and then I think last fall or something, I said no, it's not me. Like even when I like say it to myself, like I said, it's not me. Like it just it may be somebody else, but it's not me. So I went back and I said, well, I'm bi, so that's what I that's and that and that to me felt more me than, you know.
Yeah. And so when you talk about being bi, like, what does that mean? So like, if somebody else is watching and they're not really sure what it is that like, what does that mean for you?
What
Okay, how about I try? So what I understand, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because there's still a lot of things. So I understand people that are gay, and so like that kind of thing, and I understand when somebody is transgender. So like, because there's a lot of theme, or there's not themes isn't the right word. There's a lot of terms that are used that I don't always necessarily understand, and you may not know what they all are either. But so my understanding is somebody who's bisexual means that you like either men or male or female. So like, it doesn't really matter. It's that you actually kind of it goes based on the person themselves.
Yeah.
So like, if you're so if you meet somebody, male or female, you figure out whether or not it's like, okay, I like this person, and that's, so it doesn't really matter whether or not they're male or female. Is that what bisexual means?
Yeah.
Okay. So so like, that's really like, that must have been really scary to be able to have to try and go through and filter that. So how did you like, what was your support around being able to come out? Like, so you're obviously feeling comfortable enough to have booked an interview.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it's like, yeah, no, I'm definitely out. So like, how did all that kind of come about in terms of you being able to share with others? So your friends, your family, that kind of thing. So how did you navigate through that?
I felt comfortable because, because my mom always told me, she always said, like, we're gonna love you no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter who you love, or like, and that gave me some comfort. And that she's gonna love me no matter what. Like, she wants the best for me, and that that she wants the best for me. When she said that, it offered me comfort that she accepts me, and
And I think that that's really important, is feeling accepted, right? So feeling accepted allows you to be able to truly be who you are without having to, so that feeling accepted with the people that are close to you, I think, is really important. Feeling accepted from others, it's important, but not as important as it is for us to feel accepted from our family and friends.
Yeah.
So in terms of your friends, how has that worked for you in terms of support?
It's worked pretty good. Like, my one friend, like the friend that I told you about, Danica, like, she's really supportive. Like, if I ever had a question or something, or I wasn't sure about something, or somebody in my family had asked me a question that she may know the answer to, that I may not know. Like, she's been there, like, just for me to talk to, and my sister too. She's been there too.
Nice.
For me, and someone I could talk to, and
which that is great. And like I said, it's really important for us to be able to have that support. So for anybody who's watching that has a family member who is a family or a friend that is trying to figure out what their sexuality is, or trying to explore, because there's a lot of different things to be able to explore in terms of sexuality. So it's not just one particular thing. It's not just, I like boys, I like girls. Like, there's a lot of other underlying things that actually you need to figure out as well. And I think that's one of the other things that you have been trying to navigate through, and that I think that you've actually come from the information that you've shared, is that you actually came with, that you've actually come to a conclusion as to what, so can you tell me a little bit more about like that next the next part of exploring and figuring and discovering who you were?
Excuse me. I figured once I had figured this out, it felt like, like I didn't have to like hide. I felt like I could just be me, and then there wasn't that anxiety there that like, oh, someone's gonna know or someone's gonna say something. So I just felt like I could be me, and I didn't have to put on this, what, like for the people that didn't know, I didn't have to put on like, oh yes, yes, and they would say something, because you're not ready for them to know. But now that pretty much everybody does, there's not that anxiety there.
Yep. So one of the things that you've learned about yourself was, so you've always been named Emily. So you're
Yes.
born named Emily. I'm not sure whether or not you were baptized. I don't know in terms of like your religion. Not baptized. But one of the things you learned is that you've always known yourself as Emily. So can you tell me a little bit more about that transformation or that change that's come for you?
Well, I never thought like in like I said, I think I wrote it in there too, that in like 26 years that I would think like, well, this have this feeling that this isn't you, like that that it wasn't me, like it didn't feel like me, and there could be a lot of reasons, like maybe I'm wanting to, because Emily is associated with a lot of like what I talked about before, like the bullying and stuff. But I'm not like, I acknowledge that part of my past. Like I know, like I'm not gonna get rid of it by changing a name. Like it's always gonna be with you, and it's always gonna be with, and it's always gonna be there. Like it's not. I'm not. It was just weird because it's not something that I've ever felt before. Just I didn't know what to do, so it just kind of just ran with it and just kind of decided, okay, like made a whole list of different names, and I figured, well, just keep trying them out, and if they're not me, like that's okay.
Yep. So you did come up with a name that you have associated yourself with. And so can you tell me a little bit more about the name that you actually came up with and how you came up with that name?
Well, it was weird because I was actually writing. It was actually weird because I didn't like it. It was weird because I was writing one of my stories, and it was an original character that I came up with to insert into the story because I used the characters from the show in my writing, and I just I was trying to, like, because of the show, the main character, his father's name is this is gonna sound weird.
No, not at all.
The main character, Matt, his father's name is Jack, and I said, well, how could I? And I wanted to make kind of associate that main character's name, but I did. I was like, I was thinking like, no. I was like, how could I make that a little feminine or whatever? So, so I was like, well, how can I make this? I was like, at first I thought maybe like Jackie or something, like how some women are. I thought her name's Jackie, and I thought Jackie. I thought no. And I thought, well, Dakota, and I thought, well, it kind of works. So it just kind of stuck.
Well, and I like that. I like how you actually were able to do that. And so one of the things that you actually had talked about was, or one of the things that you just said is like being able to try and find a feminine kind of version of, or more feminine version of Jack, right? Because like that part there was, so being able to come up with Dakota, like I have never heard that name before. So that's like really creative. Like that just shows how truly creative that you are in terms of being able to share, or in terms of being able to like bring that part out. So and like you said, it just kind of stuck and it fits and it feels right. So how long have you been going by Dakota?
For about a month now.
Okay.
I would say about a month.
Nice. And it seems to it feels right for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's going well. It seems to feel okay. Yeah.
Good. So I like it. I think that it's actually a really cool name. So it's a really and I love the story behind it. Like I love how you were able to come up with the name. And so when people ask, well, how did you come up with your, like, how did, like, so when, and you actually got to give yourself a name, which is actually really cool. Because most of us are given a name, right? So you were born with given a name. And so I have, my name was given to me, but it was a much different version of the way that it was, because it's not my birth name. And so, but the experience of being able to, like, how did your name come to be? Like, where did, and there's like, and usually when we have a name or somebody gives us a name, there's usually a background or there's a reason why somebody had given it, like, why did we choose that name? Right? So like when I gave my children their names, I had a reason behind both of their names. And so same as your parents would have given you a name based on what they had, for whatever reason, however it is that they picked their name. And so the fact that you actually got to say, okay, I really like this character and I really like this theme and I like this kind of thing, and we're able to come up and give yourself your own name, like that's pretty cool. So do you think this is a name that you're going to be sticking with, or you're still trying it out?
I think I'm going to end up sticking with it. But I don't, because I'm not finding myself thinking of other names to use. Like I haven't, because when I was trying some of the others out, I would always be thinking about, like, whoa, if this doesn't fit, I'll try. But I don't seem to be thinking that in my mind.
So that's cool, because then that means that it kind of fits, right? So that's really neat. So I really like that, and I'm glad that you actually were able to share that. And so so one of the things that you had actually said in, so just for people to know that when somebody actually puts their information on, is that I don't plan out questions and that kind of thing. And probably for Dakota, I probably should have, because I think that might have helped with the anxiety a little bit. But I don't. I allow the conversation to just flow. And so, but when they put in the application to say, okay, I want to be able, like, not the application because it's not an application. I don't interview people firsthand. It's like you book it and we do it. And so when Dakota had actually booked in, one of the things is that there's a description of, like, tell me a little bit more about what it is that you want to talk about, because then it just gives me an idea so that we can kind of stay in the conversation about what it is that you want to talk about. And so one of the things that that you talked about was that Emily is a very feminine name, and you were trying to find something that was less feminine. So tell me a little bit, can help me understand a little bit more about why you were like, why less feminine? Like, what does that mean for you? Like,
it was always like, and even when I was, because like third name, like Emily is distinctly like very, very girly, and that's how I grew up. Like, this is for boys, this is girls' names, these are boys' names, and I grew up like with that, but I learned that. But I I just I didn't want to like box myself into to either male or female, and I think like I wrote like it just like it's that's fine, like you know, like I wrote like it just kind of like was like
So,
kind of like in middle kind of like and um, and so when I was choosing out names, I said, well, I'm gonna make them neutral, like not too girly, but still stick with like a name that sounded girly but wasn't distinctly girly. And I find once I moved away from that and said, just don't think about the gender when you are when I was looking at a name, and I think that's what told me like you know like it's fine.
so one of the things that so, and you're right, it is fine, and it's great that you're able to do that. And so, because I don't know, so I'm just trying to think back to when I was 26, which is a few years ago. And so when I was 26, I was still trying, I was a new mom, and I was still trying to figure out how to be a mom. And so to try and figure out my identity and figure out who I am, was trying to fit into that. What's a normal mom? How am I going to look after my kids? Like all that kind of thing. And so you're exploring who it is that I want to be able to, like, who is it that I am? So I don't want to say who you want to be, because it's not about who you want to be. It's about who you are. And so I don't know that I would have had the courage to do that, let alone have the courage to be able to come out and share with other people. And so, so what message do you have for somebody who is in terms of, and like, unless there's something else that you wanted to share. So what's your final message for people who are trying to figure out who they are, and um, and how they, it's like, what would be something that you would say to somebody who is going through that?
I would say like you know there's no timeline, like there's no rush to figuring out who you are, like there's none, like and you just take it day by day and how you just go how you feel, and when you find out you'll know, like you know
Yeah.
like you'll know, and you won't be questioning anymore because you'll know, and there's no and you don't try to like box yourself into a label, or you know or or just there's no if none fits you, then that's okay too, you know, you don't have to box yourself into things, and because you feel you have to just go by how you feel and just
And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful message to end on. So I just wanted to share a couple of messages that people have actually commented. Nobody's asked questions. They've only simply made a comment. So, so Wanda says, follow your heart. You are perfect. And then she has a whole bunch of like emojis, like really cool emojis. And then Lonnie says, love yourself and others will follow. You are being true to yourself. So, so two complete strangers to you are there giving and reminding you. And I know, and I'm not saying that they're telling you what to do, because they're reminding you. And they're reminding you that you're definitely on the right path and that you're on the right track. And so I really, truly want to thank you so much for being brave enough to share your experience and to share your story, because this is something that I know that a lot of people don't understand, that a lot of people don't know what to do or how to be able to support others. So I think the biggest message is that if you have a loved one, so whether it's a friend or a family that is exploring who they are, is to support them. And I love your mom's message, right? So your mom's message is, no matter what, doesn't matter who you love, we still love you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful message to come. And unfortunately, not everybody gets that same message.
No.
But you are very fortunate that you have your mom, and there are other people in the world that are still there to support you. You found them, right? So you found that one friend that was able to help you navigate. There are other people in the community that you've probably connected with since. And so I know that I know that we have a local high school who have really worked on being able to help create some awareness, and so which is great for our little community. And for those of you who are in huge communities, that you're going like, oh, like that's old stuff. Well, it isn't for some of us. So for some of us, it's still very raw. And I think even in the bigger centers, I think that it's still something that's still raw, because people don't understand and people don't like change, right? So people don't like things that are different. And so just really important for us to be able to remember that we are all different and we are all great and all have some beautiful pieces inside of us. And so I also wanted to acknowledge that that you were able to do this despite anxiety, right? So this is huge. And so, like I said, at 26, I don't think that I would, and it's not even I don't think, I know that I would not have been able to have the courage to do this. So thanks again, Dakota, for doing that and being with us, sharing your experience. So is there anything else that you want to add before we say goodbye?
Well, I wanted to add, like you were talking about, like, you're talking about how earlier in communities, how they had like group, like people like you connect with or whatever. When I was in high school, they had like I don't know if they still have it at TDSS, but they had like a gay straight alliance. And when I was in high school, and they would meet and they would bring like awareness or whatever within the high school, which I thought was great. They would do all these things within the high school that, that kind of helped me in a way, like when I was questioning a lot in high school. It kind of just helped me know that if I wanted to share something at that point, there was a group that would be supportive, that I could just that I could talk to, and there was people that if at that time I wanted to share it, that would help me navigate it.
Good. So, and as far as I know, TDSS still has. I'm not sure whether or not that's what it's still called, but I know that Eagle Heart High School is definitely open and shares a lot of different things, and has an amazing group, or at least they did last year, before my nephew had graduated. So that's great. And because, like you said, being able to help you understand, and not even necessarily helping you understand, because I think that we all still need to go through that process of trying to discover who we are, whether it's our sexuality or whatever else, is that allows us to be able to go through that. But when we know that we're not alone and that there's somebody else there that understands us, I think that helps a lot.
I think that's a big thing too. That, with anything, that you're not alone. And I think that's a big thing for some people. That I know, even for me, that to know I'm not alone is it's comforting in a way.
Yeah. So it is. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. And if you guys have any questions or have any comments, then please definitely would love to continue a conversation and be able to help create the awareness. So thanks again, Dakota, for jumping on and sharing and taking that initiative. And so, because that's one of the things, is that I don't typically reach out to people and say, hey, you should join our chatting system. It's people see the link and they actually book in, and which is exactly what Dakota has done. And So, and I'm grateful for being able to have those difficult conversations, because these are, this was difficult, right? Even though you've come out to the people that you've in the world is like, but you've actually come out bigger than that. And so thank you for sharing. And so I will see you guys next Wednesday for another Chatting with Wisdom.
Thanks for the